Hey guys, Kyle Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for One Piece Chapter 879. And boy, do we got a lot to talk about in this episode. First, can we just give Jimbe a Best Crewmate award already? Because it's only been a couple chapters since he officially joined the crew. Like, he always wanted to join the crew, but it's only been a couple chapters since he officially joined. But he's already proven to be one of the most well-rounded characters, well-rounded members of the crew to me. But more than that is, I feel going forward, looking forward into the future, where Jinbei's purpose on the crew is going to be, I have a feeling he's going to serve three distinct purposes. The first is a tactician. The second, Jinbei, I feel he knows enough about strategy to be able to really get the crew into order and recognize each one of their strengths and tell how each one is going to be able to serve a purpose to basically their absolute fullest. Because going forward, fighting the other Yonkos, I think you are definitely going to need someone who can strategize properly and who's going to be able to come up with the best possible scenario in order to defeat them, or at the very least slow them down at the very least. The second one is the helmsman. Like, I think looking back on on the brief little moment in Impel Down where we see Jinbei basically at the helm of one of the marine ships. I could be overthinking it way too much, but when we really think about it, I think that was Oda's way of teasing us that yes, as the fact that yes, Jinbei is going to join the crew later on, and when he does join, he is going to be a helmsman. So, honestly, that actually makes me think that when there've been a lot of theories as to who Luffy is going to who each member of the Straw Hats is going to fight each member of the Blackbeard Pirates. There's always been theories about that, but if Jinbei is going to be the helmsman, I wonder if Jinbei is going to fight Burgess at some point, because they are both helmsmen, and I do notice that when he does do when Oda definitely does do the one-on-one fights, he definitely likes to match up like captains versus captains, second in command versus second in command, and sniper versus sniper and all that. So maybe Jinbei's gonna end up fighting Burgess. Like, just a thought there. But yeah. But yeah, I definitely think that Jinbei is going to be a helmsman, and like I said, way back in Impel Down when we see him at the helm of the marine ship, that could be just a small little teaser. Who knows? Like, we definitely know we definitely know that Jinbei, we definitely know that Oda does like to, definitely takes the smallest little details into account, so who knows. And then the third one. The third one is the third one isn't necessarily a title, to be honest with you, but most important of all, from the third thing, I think the third purpose that I believe that Jinbei is going to serve on the crew is that it's not really a title, but I do feel that just from the speech, if that speech that Jinbei gave is any indication, he'll be the one to say the things that Luffy can't or won't say. And when we definitely know that Luffy as captain, he has his moments, of course, but I also feel that a lot of the times looking back, I feel he puts on a bit of a brave face in order to make sure that his crewmates don't really have anything to worry about. And while it is all fine and good, there are moments where you do need to really really need to acknowledge the seriousness of a situation, and I feel that Jinbei is going to serve that purpose. He's the one who's going to be able to say the things that Luffy won't be able to say because he wants to keep his crew happy, but you can't always do that. You do need to recognize the seriousness of a situation, and while Luffy does that, he doesn't necessarily verbally acknowledge it, but that's what Jimbe is for. He's gonna verbally acknowledge the seriousness of a situation and tell the crew flat out that they need to take this seriously. Like, I definitely think Jimbe is blunt enough to do it. And honestly, just also from Jimbe's little speech and that little warning he gave about Big Mom coming after them, and how Big Mom pirate ships are gonna be at their beck and call from this point on, like are gonna be at their doorstep, on their tail and at their doorstep from this point on, like. And Big Mom just coming after them, like that does of course that Big Mom's crew coming after them from this point on, that does apply to the current situation. But I feel in a way it's also Oda's way of foreshadowing us that Big Mom will be one of the combatants along with Kaido in the Throne Wars that Doflamingo foreshadowed. So in a way, from basically the little warning from Jinbei's warning of Big Mom coming after them, it's sort of a foreshadow within a foreshadow, and we're seeing how it's basically a foreshadow within a foreshadow of Jinbei warning of a time when Big Mom will again will again be coming after the Straw Hats, and that time is more than likely going to be like at at the at the summit of the Throne Wars, where it's probably going to be every fucking emperor against every fucking rook. It's going to be all the rookies against all the emperors. That's all the rookies. There's going to be the Straw Hats versus all of his fellow supernova rookies and even the fucking emperors. Like, Oda is building the Throne Wars up to be huge. That is definitely going to be a major thing. Like, the Throne Wars are going to be amazingly huge, and just if my theory is right, and the emperors are going to be the main focus of the Straw Hats versus the emperors in that main focus of the war, then wow, that is going to be like just epic as fuck. Now let's talk about the battle between Luffy and Katakuri. And honestly, in this one chapter, and I guess I should have seen it a little bit in the last chapter too, is I can see why Oda set it up in the mirror world, which was like, of course, I think it is to set up that after the battle that there is going to be like I said before in my last review, I think it is setting up that there is going to be that Luffy that Oda set it up in the mirror world in order to set up a sort of way for I suppose for Luffy to in order to get off the island, but even more so than that, with Oda setting up in the mirror world, I can see a secondary purpose, which is that it was to set up like kind of a contrast almost of how similar Luffy and Katakuri are as fighters, and how ours like Luffy and Katakuri's powers are different, but their fighting styles are so incredibly identical to one another that it's literally like Luffy's fighting a mirror. So it's kind of like one of those double meanings where Oda set it up in the mirror world, because Luffy and Katakuri, yeah, as far as fighting styles go, they're pretty much the exact same person. So yeah, it is interesting how even though we don't really think about it on the surface, there are all these little points that Oda likes to set up, and I really do appreciate that. And like from what we see in this chapter, it's like Luffy's fighting a freaking mirror of himself, even though they're two different devil fruits. But I guess when you really get down to it, Katakuri's devil fruit is just a more enhanced version of the Gum Gum fruit. This, I mean, from what we know of Luffy, from what we know of what's been like we've been theorizing for a while that this could be the arc where Luffy manages to develop his awakening power. And if this fight is any indication, this could be, if there was ever a time in order for Luffy to develop his awakening, I think this is the fight in order to do it. Like it didn't like of course Luffy barely managed to have a fight. Barely had a fighting sort of interaction with Big Mom, so that wasn't the point as to where he was going to develop his powers. But from what I've seen now, if there was ever a point for Luffy to develop his awakening now, it would be in this fight. And honestly, if Luffy does manage to develop his powers in this fight, then I mean, in this fight, then this fight with Katakuri could potentially be more epic than Luffy's fight, than the Rob Lucci fight. I know I can't take that back, but if Luffy does manage to develop his awakening in this fight and develop his awakening and manage to defeat Katakuri with his awakening, then yes, I do believe this could be potentially one of the more epic fights than Rob Lucci fight. And yeah, I know I can't take that back, but yeah, if Luffy develops his awakening and defeats him, then yeah, this will be one of the more epic fights, and this more epic fights than Rob Lucci. I'm just yeah, I can't take that back, but just saying. Um, and also, can we just take a moment and to consider how fucking OP Sparrow is? I mean, the man was blown to hell by by Pedro's bomb, and yet he still managed to recover enough stamina through, I assume, sheer fucking willpower, because that's the only way I can see him surviving a blast like that. Uh, and use the last strength of his powers to help Big Mom continue her pursuit of the Straw Hats. Like, for a character who was only in the background a lot, he's proving to be one of the MVPs of Big Mom's crew. Like, also, like, no, like, seriously, Sparrow, like, he's proving to be one of the more dangerous threats of the. Aside from Katakuri, of course, he's proving to be one of the top tier dangerous threats. Aside from the one of the top tier dangerous threats who isn't Big Mom, and it's like, who would have thought a man who could use his devil fruit powers to create candy could be such a powerful opponent? But it's like, damn, this man is like insane. And I think we just got a glimpse of his truly like I guess it was always there, but I think we just got a glimpse of how truly sadistic and depraved he is. Like when he's threatening to kill everyone who was of course when he was mocking Pedro's sacrifice, and when he was mocking Pedro's sacrifice and saying he's gonna kill everyone who's associated with that cat. I'm like, bro, like, but even more so than that, like, I think just from the brief little facial expressions we got from Carrot in this chapter, I truly feel that this experience is going to both physically and emotionally is going to develop her as both physically and emotionally as a character. Like, I think this experience was necessary for like, we've known as Carrot from the very beginning. She was introduced as a very happy-go-lucky person, but and while that element is still probably going to be there, I think she is going to develop a lot more as a fighter, and definitely a valued asset of the Straw Hat crew. Like, I don't know if she's going to join the crew, but she's definitely still going to be a mink. She's still going to be part of the mink. She's definitely still part of the Mink Alliance, and I think this was sort of a necessary step for her in order to develop as a fighter. And I think she is going to be one of the main sources of support going forward for the Straw Hat crew. And I can see her. I think how it's going to go down is after she returns to Zoe. I think she's going to train harder than ever, and just develop as an awesome fighter going forward. Like, and that, yeah. And as far as on the emotional side, like I said, I think she's still gonna still maintain a bit of her chipper personality, but I can see her being a lot more of a serious person going forward after this too. Like, I think she's gonna take things a lot more seriously, like realizing, yes, we're an enemy target, we need to be serious, kind of thing. But yeah. Also, on one little side note in this chapter, we learned that in this chapter, when Lola left on her journey, she vacated her position as Minister of Cacao, and when she did leave, the Pudding was continuously offered the position, but Pudding apparently always turned it down. Now, I could be wrong, but to me, now, as far as what that says about Pudding to me is that through her pretty much whole mental psychosis problems and whatnot, I think she genuinely cares. She genuinely does, in fact, care about Lola. Like, I'm talking about going back to how she talked about Lola in the very first chapter of this arc, like when she was first introduced in this arc and how she talked about how she admired Lola. I think that is actually a thing. Like I think this is kind of like one of those little things where it says yes, that despite everything of what we perceived her as, Lola putting at the end of the day does in fact admire Lola, and she admire Lola from does in fact admire Lola, and I think that's been a trait that's kind of been that does in fact exist from the very moment we met her. So yeah, there's that too. But yeah, guys, that was that's pretty much my that's my review of this of One Piece chapter 879. Like I said, a great chapter. Like I can I think that what this chapter did good at was just kind of pushing was just kind of showing us was Oda teasing us at a lot of things that probably are going to happen later on in this series and later on in the series or just later on in the final moments of this arc even. But yeah, guys, but and I just can't wait to see things like Luffy developing his awakening and whatnot. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Death Night of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.